Very good evening to all our viewers. Today we have with us a very talented professional. She is an architect. She's completed a bachelor's in architecture from NIT Calicut, master's in architecture from University of Southern California, MBA from University of California, Davis. She has worked with Tesla as an ex-senior operations head. She has 2 decades of experience in clean tech and building industry. And presently, she is the founder of Gaia-Force, a not-for-profit which aims to support community colleges and their students in accelerating their careers in sustainability and CSR. Very welcome to Nagashree. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm really
Uh,
excited to talk to you all.
thank you. We all are very excited to learn about your journey. Nagashree, you have learned architecture, you have learned business administration, and led operations at a global level for residential energy at Tesla. How has your journey been, and what are your key learnings out there?
Yeah, so thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you guys. I'll speak from the very beginning. My passion for environmental sustainability has been the key, tying thread from all the different, um, positions that I've held in my career right off the bat. With architecture, the focus has always been environmental sustainability of built environment. And that's been my focus through school as well as through built environment through LEED and net zero energy buildings. In doing so, I realized, architects have a very small role to play in actual energy impact of buildings. And I wanted to, take my career forward and make sure that I make that impact. And that's why going to business school, learning the language of how to sell the concepts of energy efficiency through business environment. So I went to UC Davis and, super exciting to learn just the general business concepts out there. And then when I was ready to apply for jobs, my top 10 companies were either clean tech or they were ESG companies within the Bay Area. And what was critical was that my first role at Tesla was something that was a combination of both my architecture degree as well as business degree. I started as a solar roof new market entry analyst, in which, taking solar roof is a residential product which produces it's completely embedded in the roof and it produces energy, and so understanding the international landscape in the context of architecture as well as business, I thought that I could bring that, knowledge to Tesla. After that role, I held various other positions within Tesla. Um, those are, I was in the supply chain automation. So I don't know if all of you know, Tesla is a tech company where they produce all their internal softwares, including any external facing, supplier facing portals. And so I worked as a product manager on supply chain automation, which is, on this portal where suppliers, they provide their quotes on their different parts. And this was critical, I want to bring, because I kept it open. My job, I could have kept it, just tailored to sustainability and the footprint of that. But in doing and working in the general business environment, I felt like I was able to forward the mission of sustainability by increasing the sales of the product, by reducing the cost of the product and such. I had another position after this as a supply chain manager of Solar Roof, and the biggest key takeaway from being in the Solar Roof supply chain team was bringing the production of Solar Roof to United States. So when I started the team, the manufacturing was still happening in China and in bringing all the parts to US, we were already reducing the carbon footprint of the product and the cost of the product itself. And then finally, I had a couple of roles within the Solar Roof team as a business development analyst, as well as, from their operations side. And finally culminated in 2 years of my operations tenure at Tesla. Tesla is a very flat org, and I had the opportunity to learn really fast. I was in the residential energy unit where they directly work with like B2B customers in selling power walls, solar, and all the other products that Tesla sells. So and majority my role was process improvement. So why I want to stress process improvement here and how that helps is when I did projects there, if we increased 103% of the number of partners, that means more solar and Powerwall and all those products are out there in the market, which inevitably kind of impacts directly on reducing the energy footprint. So that's been my 360 around at Tesla. And then while at Tesla, I also for 2 years kind of led their disaster relief effort. It's a small project. When a disaster strikes here in Northern America and Puerto Rico, we used to deploy this battery and solar microgrid, which would provide sustained power in case of, disaster. Always power outage is a big outcome of a disaster. And what that opened up for me in my heart is the idea of social impact. Like I've worked for profit for a long time, and if in any way I can contribute and accelerate the workforce of this green workforce, I'll feel really fortunate, and hence came about the foundation of my nonprofit Gaia-Force, which will be educating community college students across United States, and they will help place them within clean tech and ESG companies. So that's been my journey thus far.
It's an illustrious journey, and so good to learn about various roles that you have played. Now, you have an extensive industry experience in sustainable development and developed profitable projects, you see. Sustainability and CSR is often thought as a cost-intensive process. And the first thing that companies cut is a CSR person or sustainability person whenever you have to cut the costs. So, will you share some case studies where you
Yep.
have designed revenue profit-led projects aligned to sustainable development?
Yeah, so I will start with the building industry experience, and what I would say is I've done really large projects where there's like 73-story high-rise residential, and the way I would see it is when you embed energy efficiency and some of these key concepts like what is the footprint of the products that are used within the building. When you analyze that, the way you impact the cost effectiveness of this is in energy efficiency. I think it's a no-brainer. If you're reducing the energy bills, you're directly impacting cost for both the user as well as those who run the buildings. And then secondly, the product impact is like when you think through the life cycle of a product and you think through cradle to cradle of that, then the impact of that product, both on climate and on the replaceability of that product, is pretty low as compared to if you do the calculation of products, which you have to replace every so often. From another example I would give is while I was at UC Davis, I was awarded the EDF Climate Corps Fellowship. It's a small cohort through EDF Climate Corps where the student is placed in a company to provide a solution. So I was placed with Gap Incorporated. They are, they're in the fashion industry and fast fashion. So my responsibility there was to analyze their retail fleet across United States, understand what are the energy consumptions, and then I identified, the key items that are missing in order to reduce the energy bill. And also, they had a goal of reducing their carbon emissions. So when I gave a proposal of, if you invest, say, 400,000 into changing out and doing some energy efficiency initiatives within the retail fleet, you are going to save about 6,000 megawatt hours of energy, which directly impacts energy bill. And then you will also save about, I forget the number, it's like 30 gigatons of carbon from the built environment that you have. So that's another example where doing such sustainability initiatives is going to help the footprint. And then finally, I'd like to speak same to my experience at Tesla, where bringing the production and the manufacturing of Solar Roof, that not only reduced the cost of the product itself, because in those days, or even still, products that are manufactured in China have a 35% tax on top of it, which increases the cost of the price of the product. And so it helped reduce the cost of the product for Tesla, as well as improve the sustainability. And, Tesla, I would say, is a company that believes in every single thing that they do. They want to accelerate this mission. So in improving efficiency within the company, in process improvement of operations, we already see that we save in terms of cost of the product, and we, sell more product as an outcome of that. So it is embedded in the value system. And I feel like I have embedded that value into myself, and I'm working towards the next, venture of mine with the same mindset that test fast, fail fast, and keep trying to push this, acceleration of sustainable future ahead.
That's a great line to start the day with, for sure. Now, a supply chain is an important aspect of building a sustainable business, which you led for Tesla, especially for the solar roof. What are the key indicators that you looked at while you were sourcing the products?
Yeah, so I, when Harsha and I first talked about it, I told her that any product company that is, putting out product and is answerable to the shareholders, the first responsibility is to make sure the cost of the product is not too high. And the second one is that the viability of churning out, like way back, when I was there in 2019, Elon's goal was 1,000 homes of solar roof per week. So that was a daunting goal. So I would say the first is whether we are able to manufacture and deliver that volume of product to the vision the leaders have. The cost of the product definitely matters in the overall scheme of running the business. And then the aspect which a lot of people talk about is the footprint of the product in terms of sustainability. But I would go a step forward and say that if it's a solid product, it is built really well, and it has a long life and doesn't need to be replaced, that itself is a paradigm of sustainability in itself. And then, of course, you need to look like what plastics are being used, what is the footprint. But when you're scaling as a company, I would say those parameters, like what is the footprint of the plastic used in a product, what is, what is the sourcing in some of those factors, those are kind of in the, they're lower in priority for the company. But I would say, having said that, there are some ways that government regulates this. So I know for sure at Tesla, the battery supply chain, and some of the key, very precious metals and sources that we used to bring, they're scrutinized and their life cycle and making sure end of life is taken care of for that. So that is regulated really heavily by the government. So I think responsibility lies not only with the company, it lies with the government agencies in order to, enforce this. And of course, like when you are one of the companies where you're answerable to your shareholders and you publish your environmental impact as a public document, you're answerable. So those are some of the ways, Harsha, I would say that you can. And there are some leaders in this who, talk about the full cradle to cradle of products. But I would say those are fewer in number, but a lot of people are doing at least the bare minimal that is required, which is exciting rather than doing nothing at all.
Yeah, that's very insightful, actually, how it could be integrated and implemented. Now, how do you, having worked in this space for so long, how do you envision the residential energy consumption to be climate controlled in the coming months?
Yeah, so this is very interesting, and it's like I'm both excited and actually I would say unhappy in some ways that there could be more strides. But I'll again start with government agencies. In the United States, the federal government has, with the IRA, the Infrastructure Reduction, the Inflation Reduction Act, they have, invested $1 trillion into the market, and 783 billion of that is just for energy efficiency and renewable energy projects. Those are some of the ways, it's exciting. But in terms of residential energy, we see that some of the ways the government enforces or gives some benefit to residential energy customers is when you buy solar and battery products, you get some incentive in terms of federal incentives. But I want to give you a caveat in doing this assessment of the benefit for a homeowner. I myself am a homeowner in California. When I do the assessment, it is still not lucrative for me to own a solar and a battery in my home. And then the second thing I would say is states like California, where they've mandated that by 2020, all new construction homes need to be solar ready. But I'll tell you again, it's solar ready and it's not mandated that every home have. So in some ways, I feel like the government agencies are making some efforts, but it's not quite there. But still, in terms of trends and how we see within some of the regions within the United States, we see there is more adoption of solar and storage within the residential environment. Some other aspects which people have done in order to initiate is within the appliances we have Energy Star appliances, and these are appliances which are using less energy. So in my home we have washer and dryer which are Energy Star appliances, and they have a certain setting that is required by the state, which is a standard setting which uses less energy. So these are some of the ways that the government agencies are working. And in chatting with Harsha, I said that for a homeowner, having an EV, an electric vehicle, is a symbol of prestige, and having some of those names and showing that you're doing your part through an electric vehicle has turned out to be more lucrative than the solar and battery, because people, when they invest in anything for their home, it has to be something shiny that shows, and solar is yet not shiny. And so I mean, there is hope out there, but I think the biggest way this can be led is through government efforts. And I know in studying this landscape in Europe and in some of the countries like Australia, Australia leads the way in solar because their utility prices are so high, and solar then definitely is more lucrative. So some of those tools might be kind of regulating utilities, a big lobby in United States. So if some way governments can help, have penalize certain things for residential energy, I think there can be a change made. I have hope that things on the residential front can get better.
Nagashree, now that you are leading Gaia, what is your vision for it for the coming 5 years? How do you see yourself as an entrepreneur coming out of the corporate world and leading your own venture? And what is your vision?
Yeah, so I would say my passion for starting Gaia-Force is throughout my career. After I graduated out of USC, I graduated out of UC Davis, and as an ADF Climate Corps fellow, I have continued to be a mentor to a lot of students. People reach out. I'm one of those people on LinkedIn. If you reach out to me, I'll definitely make sure I make time for you because I know giving forward the knowledge and the know-how and how to traverse the landscape is so critical. Providing the guidance to people, those that can do it by themselves, like I did it myself. I'm not I'm not worried about those guys. They can pave their way. But it's those that need that little push, that need that little guidance. I want to help those. And then keeping my passion for environmental sustainability, I do want to bring forth that somehow there is this trend of hiring for snobbery in the clean tech. So you either have to be from an Ivy League school, from some big business school, or have an environmental science degree from somewhere. And I want to break this myth that that is not the only way that students can carve their way into this sustainable environment. And in working with the community college students, I know they're excited, they care about the environment, and they're excited to join the workforce. There's so much money, there's so much opportunity out there for them to join. So my vision is to educate these students on the key industrial concepts of sustainability and then embed them in internships on some of these clean tech companies so that they have a foot in the door in some of these companies, learn how they operate, get professional, makeover in terms of how you interact. And I'm super excited. I feel this is a very promising way and exciting way to scale even another tier of professionals. I don't think the climate work is only to be run by, all the elite who have, masters. And it is for all of us to do it, and bringing more people into this, workforce is critical. So hoping and dreaming that I'm able to do some work to kind of bring this forward.
That's very inspiring. Now, we also are a research and development capacity building and advisory institute for responsible business leadership. Which interventions do you see that could be required to be addressed in the US? And let's chat separately on collaborations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I think like people, and I know Harsha, we had talked about greenwashing a little bit. A lot of companies want to say, hey, we are in this, for fighting against climate change. What I think needs to happen is I'll give example like in the Bay Area, a ton of like even recycling companies that residents have, they have to follow a certain rules and regulations. And what I would say is companies, also the ones that you partner with, there should be some kind of a tailored rules and regulations in their operations on how they operate as a company. A lot of them have a huge footprint of their employees in buildings. What should be the base level of sustainability they should adopt without incurring too much cost, right? That should be provided to some of these companies you partner with. Behavior, understanding what climate change means, what, And climate change also is just one jargon. There's so many different ways we are polluting the environment. They should understand all the aspects of it. Purchasing is a big thing, fashion is a big thing, personal responsibility is a big thing, and then the company's responsibility is a whole different level on everything that they do. And some of these companies' products are heavily toxic to the environment, and they kind of greenwash it in some ways so that they are able to do the bare minimal to bring. So when you talk to the companies, I think there is a missing link on inspiring them to the next level. So I know the chip industry and the data center industry is definitely discussing this, because a lot of them who are in the AI field, they have a huge footprint of their data centers, and in reducing the impact of some of these things, they can. But I think taking a look at it holistically, and Harsha, I would say always present people with options. Hey, these are your options: option A, option B, option C. Option A will be these many dollars, implemented in these many years, and will benefit this much to you. And then what are the low hanging fruits? And I feel like that's the language, business language people understand. They understand how to see this in stages and phases and cost, and what is the benefit essentially. Like, is it just saying that they are a company that cares for climate change, or they're truly rooted in making that change? So that's what I would say is working. And I'm happy to collaborate with you guys in any other format. My personal passion is pushing forward this. So if you have any students who are interested in connecting and guidance, if you want me to get involved in any way, I'm pretty excited. With my time as a constraint, I'm pretty happy to collaborate with all like-minded people who want to help the planet.
Thank you so much, Nagashree. We have a question from Mr. Manohar. Manohar, would you like to unmute yourself, or shall I ask?
Yeah, you can ask. I just wanted to understand the structure of your training program and your curriculum, or how do you go about it and what's duration on
Yeah.
ground, on ground.
Yeah, thanks, Manohar, for that question. So the vision is, and Manohar, I'll try to explain, and I don't know if you guys are attending from India. And so I was born and raised in India, and I understand the structure of education in India, and the structure of education here in the United States is slightly different. So first I'll explain what United States program is, and then we can kind of have a dialogue on how that fits in the realm of the Indian education system. But to begin with, the structure of education system in United States is you have K through 12, that's kindergarten through the 12th, and majority of the education is you're doing science, you're doing language arts, you are doing some of the core concepts in school. And then some of the lower socioeconomic group folks, they barely scrape through their high school, and the environment they land in is they don't know where they're going to head. They are and in United States specifically, the students who are going to community college, many times, I would say 90% of the times, they're the first in their family to go to college, or they are a single mom that is trying to work for part-time and putting herself through college in order to get that next level of education. And of course, there are career transition people who go from one career and they want to grow, and they go through community college, learn something quickly, and then they transition. So I'm building this landscape for you guys so that you understand how it is. And so my goal is, and the way I envision it is, I'm working with Ohlone College here, which is Fremont, and we're going to do a pilot here, which will be a smaller program of few weeks of understanding the key industry concepts. And even before we do the industry concepts, we will assess both their skills, professional skills, as well as their career skills, meaning understanding where they want to head. And then we would have them join this curriculum where they would teach key concepts like energy efficiency, renewable energy, carbon footprint, emissions, CSR, and such. But they would be very high level so that they understand. And then we'll do case studies like how to reduce the energy bill for a given residence. We'll have a panel of guest speakers who will come and inspire them on, this was my journey, and they can learn from it and ask questions on how they can too, grow in their career using, some of the climate change jobs. And then finally, we will land them an internship in the summer, which will kind of, I don't envision that they will be specifically, topics like renewable energy. They will be specifically topics like energy efficiency. I want to embed them into companies which are larger, like Tesla, and I'll give you an example. Even a warehouse assistant there knows the product, knows how to make it more efficient. And I feel that is most use of the students' learning experience, how what they've learned at one environment can be applied somewhere else. Because I feel like ESG skills are so specific. Very few companies have few people which are implementing this. The viability of a job out there is less. So finding jobs which are universal, embedding the students in products and companies which have a bigger focus, and then kind of connecting this pipeline of community college and taking it one step further, Manohar, is to kind of scale this. The way I envision scaling this is they'll have like a 7-unit credited course at the community college. This will include a basic, environmental science course. There will be the one that I talked about where it's based on case studies and real industry concepts, and the internship, which is called as WorkX unit. So the student will get credit for the courses, for learning this. They will get a certificate which they can use in their like GED, which is the general education that they can transfer to a 4-year degree, and then the paid internship, which will give them the opportunity to learn. So I see it as a 3-pronged approach. Upskilling them in their professional skills to sell themselves, learn the key industry concepts, and gain an experience in an internship. So that's my vision.
So this has to be registered through any university itself, right? You would be
So
working
it
along
doesn't
with
have.
programs.
Yeah, I mean, right now, for the way I am creating this is to work through a community college. But you're bringing a great point. This should be available to anybody who is interested in pivoting and doing that. So what I would say is either if they have a community college that they can enroll it, but in future I do envision scaling this. India is I call it my mother country, and I do feel like this format could be scaled to India, and that people could then don't have to be restricted to college. They can also enroll in this program, and we would definitely have to have operations there in order to have it in person. I feel like learning in physical proximity and learning in that environment in transaction is more important. So I definitely view that it can be scaled, Manohar, to people who are outside of the community college as well. But the criticality of the community college is this structure, because these students are already not self-driven, right? They're trying to find their way. When they have a structure in the college, it kind of benefits them. They kind of feel comforted. Those that are finding their way to Gaia-Force on their own, I definitely can think through of providing some value that people could enroll themselves in the program and can have a cohort where they can learn this and gain internships. So definitely worth my thought process. I would first need to make sure this runs successfully and I scale it well. And then definitely I can open it up to other folks.
Sure. Great, and best wishes still.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nagashree. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, what is the best way?
Yeah, LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is the best way. Get in touch. And I would advise, this is the other advice I give all the people. Make sure you have a very critical thing that you are looking for in order to advance your career. A lot of people come with their open-ended, and it's a waste of their time and my time. So if you reach out to me, make sure you have thought through, what you want in your career. And definitely I'm there to give advice on how to navigate some of these professional pathways, but definitely frame yourself such that you look like you are interested, and that you are in control of your career as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nagashree. It has been lovely talking to you, knowing your journey, and I'm sure all of us have benefited a lot out of it. We look forward for further collaborations and discussions. Happy to join the forces, and wishing you a very good day. And thank you, everybody, for joining in today. It's late night. It's already 10:30 over there, and thank you so much for joining in.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Good day and good